Welcome to the Robert Hunt Financial Market Update. It's your host, Robert Hunt, where we look at the week's financial news. It may be confusing, misleading, and take you off course. We have to make it actionable, understandable, and clear.
What a week, and therefore,
what a show.
Once again, no show notes. Young Bobby Hunt's coming in clean. It's an exciting day for a podcast, isn't it, Bob?
Yes.
Never a dull moment here at the Market Update. We have some excellent content for our listeners. We're actually going to be looking at Mr. Jamie Dimon, who, in my opinion, is one of the finest CEOs to ever walk the face of planet Earth. Some of his comments about the markets. We're also going to be looking at Blackstone, and a private equity shop and their combination with Vanguard. That's right. I mean, this is a Montague and Capulet, type of deal combination. We then are going to look at Roth reform. Senator William Roth would be maybe shocked, maybe not, at what some lawmakers are trying to do to limit the use of these retirement vehicles for high income, high net worth folks. What the government giveth, the government taketh away. But let's start at the top with Mr. Dimon. Now, I always like to preface this because Mr. Dimon, I'm grateful for. He gives us hot takes on the market, which for someone like me, I appreciate. Speaking of hot takes, Bob, how hot is it in Dallas right now? Do you know?
104.
104, and I think it got up to 106. So if you're a listener in Dallas, go ahead and pause the podcast right now. Drink a cold cup of water. The podcast will always be here for you. You can always pause it and come on back to it. Stay hydrated. Stay cool. I was in my car in Dallas, and I got a headache when I got out of it because it was so hot, Bob. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
Yeah, we lost that Chinese pistachio, didn't we?
Yeah.
Lost my only shade tree. It was diseased. Looked great on the outside, right on the inside. That's probably another podcast episode. But let's start with Jamie Dimon. He says, this is a CNBC article on Monday, July 20th. He says, markets underestimate risks and he wouldn't buy stocks or treasuries at current prices. He's not going to buy anything. Jamie Dimon said, investors are underestimating geopolitical and fiscal risks that could eventually rattle markets. Bob, do you know what geopolitical risk means?
No.
It's war. He's talking about the war in Iran. He's talking about the war in Russia and how those conflicts, they could spill over and harm investments. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So he says he wouldn't be a buyer of equities, or he's referencing long-dated U.S. Treasuries. He thinks the risks are bigger than people think, which is kind of his MO. So he's again one of the finest, in my view, CEOs to ever walk the face of planet Earth. He helped J.P. Morgan sidestep the 2008. You weren't even alive in 2008, were you, Bob?
I wasn't.
Okay, well there was a credit contagion situation. He helped J.P. Morgan do better than almost any large bank, and they were actually a supplier of liquidity when push came to shove. But he is a constant in the camp of watch out, be careful, maybe this isn't a good time to invest. I'll read a little bit of this. I do think those risks are probably bigger than people think. He's referencing geopolitical risks, pointing to the wars in Ukraine and Middle East. And when they asked him whether markets are underpricing the chance of a major shock, all right, are we scared yet, listener? He says it's possible something's baked in, but what's not baked in is what actually happens, he said. No. Okay, I kind of get it, but kind of don't. I reference this article and I bring up Mr. Dimon occasionally because now that I'm 40 years old, Bob, and you knew that, don't you?
Yes.
How old are you, Bob?
8.
Do you feel like you know a lot at 8?
A little, well, quite a lot.
Quite a lot. I'd say at 40, I'm beginning to get a hold of some things. And a tendency I had was if someone had a great deal of success in a particular industry or they were very wealthy, Bob, whatever they said, I would really give it a lot of credit and credence, particularly as it related to investing. And that's natural. We as humans, of course, there is signaling we're going to look at. J.P. Morgan runs a very complex institution. He's an intelligent man. He's a hardworking man. He's warning us. That there's a tipping point coming. Now, this is not good advice for you, the listener, and for me, the podcaster listener. He says it this way too. You may need more straws in the camel's back to cause the tipping point. He said, even this current war starting up again, but that's maybe not enough to do it. He says, eventually, though, things are going to break. And it could be the government debt. As investors, Bob, this sort of thing isn't actionable, and yet we can look at Mr. Jamie Dimon and say, but this guy knows more than us, doesn't he? He's the CEO of JP Morgan. Don't you think he knows more than us, Bob?
Yeah.
Don't you think he's older than us? He's probably in his 70s, so hadn't he seen more markets, right, Bob?
Yeah.
And yet how is it that the advice he's giving is actually not helpful?
I don't know.
I don't know either. What we've got to realize is he's not us. And we got to pitch our own game. We got to do our own thing. You have to be willing to own your own investment decisions. So I'm saying, who cares what Jamie Dimon says equities are worth? Who cares what Jamie Dimon says bonds should be? It actually does not matter. We're going to invest, and it's ostrich investing. Do you know what ostriches do when they get scared, Bob?
They poke their head under the ground.
That's what they do. They poke it on the ground. As investors, I want us to do that. Great. We got wars. We got rumors of wars. We got a federal debt that Bob, are you going to help pay off this giant federal debt?
No.
Yes, he is, listener. You better believe he is. He doesn't know it yet, but you're going to be paying for my Social Security, aren't you?
Yes.
Thank you, buddy. So it's just not actionable. We can't do anything with it. So just head down, bear down. We have to listen to one of the finest CEOs ever say things that just don't help us one lick. And now we're going into, and this is let me tell you, when it rains, it storms, the Blackstone Group. Now, Blackstone, this is not BlackRock. This is Blackstone. Blackstone is a private equity shop, I think the largest, if not the largest. They are doing a combination with Vanguard. Bob, this would be like the University of Texas and Texas A&M combining football teams. How would you feel about that?
I wouldn't like it as much.
It would feel a little odd, wouldn't it? Don't we have this rivalry? And we're the Aggies, of course. And how are you feeling about this year, Bob, for the football team?
Good.
Is there a particular part of the team you feel is extra good?
O-line.
That's what I thought, the O-line. So I know we get some crossover listeners. Some of y'all are Aggie football fans. You get both here at the Market Update. You get that, yeah. But Blackstone is known for high fees, complex investments, short time horizons. Now, that doesn't sound like Vanguard, does it? Vanguard is the low-cost leader, Mr. Jack Bogle, founder, and it's low cost. Well, what's happening? They want to give access. Vanguard wants to give access to Blackstone for its customers, for its members. Vanguard, as you know, is a not-for-profit entity, and therefore, hey, they're going to expand access for you. It's for you. The Blackstone president, John Gray, says it this way. The key on this is that investors understand they are trading away some liquidity for access to things they couldn't otherwise get, diversification, benefits, and most importantly, premium returns. Blackstone President John Gray said, it's been a very good trade for investors in the past. So, Bob, let me just tell you what Mr. Gray is advocating you do. He's saying, hey, Bobby, I know that you're Mr. Index Fund guy. Would you be willing to put your investments in a higher cost vehicle that's a little more complexity and a shorter time horizon? Would you do that?
No.
Attaboy. Well, I recommend you do just as Bob Hunt has advocated here. Don't do it. The analogy I give, and Vanguard justifies it this way. He says, Greg Davis, Vanguard's president and chief investment officer, said private companies and loans have become a much larger share of the U.S. capital markets. That's true. He's not lying. Making a strategy that includes them in line with the late Vanguard founder Jack Bogle's belief in buying the whole haystack rather than looking for the needle in it. Excuse me, Bob. I just got a little nauseous reading that quote, saying Jack Bogle would like this. He says this, the reality is the markets have changed. The haystack now includes private markets, which our clients today just don't have much access to. By getting involved, we aspire to lower the cost and complexity of investing in private assets over time. There are a bunch of analogies that I'd use. I want to make sure I use an appropriate one. But when this gentleman, who I bet is wonderful, I mean, me and Bobby Hunt are grateful for Vanguard. Thank you, Mr. Davis, for your work. We do take issue with this particular point you're making, that Jack Bogle would believe in this, and the idea that somehow private equity within Vanguard's confines is going to be better. The kind of analogy I'd use is, hey, you're going to let your kids drink underage, but at your house, you're going to have the party at your house, Bob. How's that sound?
Good.
Yeah. So says the 8-year-old. Not great, though, Bob. maybe it's superior to going to Lower Greenville, but let's just not drink underage. How about that?
Yeah.
There you go. So, hey, you can do PE, you can do private equity, you can do high fee, high complexity, but do it within our confines. I don't recommend it, listener. I don't recommend it. And I suspect Blackstone is best in breed. I've watched Steven Schwartzman, who I guess is the chairman. He's still at the top. And I watched one of his presentations on the historic returns of the Blackstone funds, and it was one of these online classes, and it showed just incredible returns. And wouldn't you want to get on board? And he made the point at the very end. He says he doesn't understand why anyone wouldn't put all their money into these private equity firms. Let's remember he makes money on that. And I'm a doubting Thomas. Mr. Warren Buffett is as well. Don't quite think it's going to be best for people over a 50-year time frame. They're they could be a great PE fund that works out for you, but you're on the treadmill. You got to rotate the capital in and out and in and out. It's not a fun game. The idea that diversification, let's just put this in perspective. When you buy VTI, which is the exchange traded fund I recommend through Vanguard, you pay about 0.03%. That's your fee. That's pretty cheap. And then if you think, well, am I diversified? Is this really enough? Well, you own 3,531 stocks. Is that a lot of stocks, Bob?
Yes.
That's a lot. That feels pretty diverse. And if you want to say, oh, well, what about international exposure, Mr. Hunt? Does it also have adequate diversification? Well, yeah, it does. For 0.05%, that's going to be your cost. The VX US has 8,755 stocks. Is that a lot, Bob?
Yes.
Absolutely. It's a lot. So the idea that you're somehow not, your investments aren't diverse enough, you don't have enough diversification with public markets, you have to dip your toe into private. I just don't see it. And we live in dynamic capital markets, meaning if private assets get bid up a lot, guess what? That capital will rotate over to public. If people are in public assets and they think private assets are undervalued, they'll rotate into that. As an index fund investor, you don't have to worry about it. You're going to be just fine. You're not going to have to worry that, oh, gee whiz, I'm going to be left at the train station. I just keep it simple, folks. Keep it simple. You don't want to have to make sure. And then in closing, the government has decided that you are having too much fun with your retirement accounts. So headline is, what's in the proposed crackdown on mega-sized retirement accounts? Two Democratic lawmakers want to curb tax breaks for the largest 401ks and IRAs, which have proliferated in recent years. This is Senator Ron Wyden of Oregon. And they gave examples of two folks, one with Roblox, one with NVIDIA, that were able to stuff their retirement accounts. And so they're proposing limits with incomes above $400,000 if you're married, and your income's over $450,000 and your account balances are over $10 million. You'd be barred from contributing to Roth or traditional retirement accounts, of course. But also, they were going to make you, this is the kicker, you'd have to withdraw half of your retirement accounts annually and pay taxes due any amount over $10 million. For someone with $12 million in a 401k and IRAs, the required payout would be $1 million. The money is taken from a traditional account. It'd be a big old tax bill. And so anyway, same with Roth. If you're over a certain amount in Roth, you have to take it out. I say this because I recognize for the vast majority of people, this doesn't affect them. It's something to keep our eye on, though. So the government giveth, the government taketh away. Oftentimes, and then from a planning standpoint, you look at Roth versus regular on your 401k contribution. And admittedly, at these limits, I recognize it probably won't affect plenty of folks, but there's no rule that says it stops here. And so it just is a reminder that when you get a tax deduction this year, so let's say you like to do regular 401k contributions, you get the tax deduction this year, the government is not going to be able to go back and disallow the deduction 10 years later. What it looks like they are able to do, and they want to open up this Pandora's box, they do want that Roth reform. They do want that Roth reform where they want to be able to go back in and monkey with it. So you the investor could very well have elected to pay more in taxes for your Roth contribution at the Roth 401k level, or maybe at the IRA level. And admittedly, the levels aren't there yet. But if the government decided to, and some of our friends on the far left elected to really push that, that Roth business is really not good at all, it wouldn't shock me. And I used to not think this would happen at all, but when I read articles like this, I think, hey, over a 30-year time frame, could I see the saber rattling? I hope it doesn't happen. Could I see saber rattling where they would say, yeah, we don't think Roths are fair? It's possible. Now, I still love Roths. I think you put your money in a Roth, but just know, don't feel bad about using those regular 401ks and getting that regular deduction in there. You got it, because they can't take that away. They can't come back and say, no, I'm changing the rules. Because that's what the government can do. The government can change the rules. They can go in and say, nope, I know these rules that we laid out for you, the investor, and that you planned around and you met with your CPA about and your attorney about, and they all blessed it. Yeah, we can come right back in and change all that. They can do that. They can do that. Again, I'm not advocating for any swift changes, but just be mindful. It's quite all right to take the deduction this year, even if on a long-term planning perspective, you want to ensure you don't get those RMDs, those required minimum distributions. Just be willing to take the bird in the hand. The bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. You ever heard that, Bob? What does it mean to have a bird in the hand?
For you to have a bird in your hand.
Guys, this kid's a genius. Let me tell you. I mean, any college you want to go to, Bob, they're going to take you. It means you got a bird in the hand. What if there are two birds 100 yards away? Which one would you rather have, the bird in the hand or two birds 100 yards away that you may or may not get?
The bird in your hand.
Bingo. So from a tax perspective, don't be afraid to take that bird in the hand. And remember, as always, what do we remember, Bob? What can we not forget? Let's keep our
cost low, investing simple, and time rising long.
Because that's what's going to give us the best shot on our investing journey.
Until next time.